Time in the back. Hey, what's up, everybody? Thank you very much for coming back. Welcome to On the Town with Tanya. I'm your host, and yes, we are back. Yesterday was a special show, and today's another special show with a writer. And so today's guest is a screenwriter, author, a content creator, and a poet. She's here today to share her new winter anthology book, Snowed In. Please welcome Cy Marie Johnson. Hi. Thank you for joining us again. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
I'm excellent. Everything's good so far. So you're here to join us again on Snowed In. So
Yes.
Since we last saw you, yes, let me see. Let's see the cover. Fabulous. So I'm gonna get the screen bigger, guys, so we can see a better version.
Light it up here. The kind of the glare from my lamp is kind of
That's a nice
up like a halo there. But yeah, and it's actually also a pretty thick collection. It's not quite as big as Dance with Darkness was, but it is actually from the same publisher.
Okay, that's the Hydra production?
Yes.
Okay, a Hydra production holiday collection, right?
Yes, it is.
All right.
It's a collection of, there are 10 different authors, and it is a collection of wintry or holiday romances. It's basically all based on the Snowed-In theme, being stuck somewhere or stranded during the holidays, or for whatever reason because of inclement weather, and kind of meet cutes or forced proximity types of romances, unexpected romances, and things like that.
Yeah, well, how did you now? So did someone come up with this and you got on, or you came up with this and got other people on?
Okay, so Hydra has periodically throughout the year, she has a submission call for different anthologies that they have decided that they want to do. And of course, the publisher determines what anthologies they think that they would like to do. And then she kind of just puts out a submission call. And so at the beginning of this year, she did that, and there were 4 different submissions calls. And at first I was only going to be doing one, and I wasn't sure about the other ones, because it was my first anthology, so I didn't know if it was something I wanted to keep doing. I was going to test it out and see how it went. And of course, Dance with Darkness ended up debuting and kicking Neil Gaiman out of the top 25. So when I seen that happened, there are some other USA Today and New York Times bestselling authors attached to these collections. And so they have already succeeded in getting those accolades. So I knew that was going to help, in some ways, bring more attention to these books and help publicity. And that was the reason why I initially chose to do Dance with Darkness. Okay, so I wasn't originally going to do Snowed In. And the thing about it is it's interesting. Something happened, and one of the authors that she thought she was going to have for sure ended up being, they weren't able to do it. Things came up. And so she was like, I still need one more story. Any of you that were in this collection before, are you interested? And I was like, let me see if I can develop something. And so then I developed what became, and it's actually the second story in the book, Frosted Dreams. There.
Okay, nice.
And, I wrote and I developed all of it, and then I wrote about half of it, and I have my co-writer on it, and that's A.L. Knuckles. And she had been my personal assistant for a long time. And she also worked with me in my on the aspect of what I do with ghostwriting and stuff like that too.
Okay.
So she had a lot of writing tenure, and I knew that she had a lot of experience, but she just hadn't been prepared with her own story, or anything that she had worked on in a collaborative way other than ghostwriting that she could claim for herself. And so I said, I've developed all this, and I know you know how to work off of my development outlines. I know you know how to write. You've done ghostwriting. But for this, what I would like to do is offer you the opportunity to be a co-writer and get you out as a debut author and
Nice.
help you out here with in that way. So she wrote the last half of it. And basically it is a story. Frosted Dreams is blurb in particular.
Mhm.
It starts out, my catchphrase is, how could an ice storm be so warm?
Mhm.
Um, Isha Singh isn't the sort to waste his time, and he's never met any obstacle he couldn't outwit. Never one to take no for an answer, Isha's faced prejudice, discrimination, and mountain lions, but the one thing he could have never foreseen was how helping a random stranger from freezing to death might rescue him too. Annabelle Beauregard isn't afraid of traveling alone, or at least that's what she's told herself. All she's ever wanted was to get away from her closed mind, small town politics and move away for college. Like falling icicles, Anna's bravado is shadowed by her own ignorance and overlooking a crucial piece of travel gear. Calamity breaks loose, stranding Annabelle in the cold, dark Sandy Pass during a wintry alert, with no cell service and a car quickly running out of gas. When the handsome stranger happens upon Annabelle's car, the potential for romance is the last thing on either of their minds. But just like unexpected storms, emotion creeps in when one least expects it.
Hmm. Wow.
So, and
Can happen. A lot can happen in a snowstorm.
yes, that is so true. And the other thing that I really like, I'm really happy, and one of my ARC readers, she emphasized a lot,
Mhm.
was that this is a very diverse story because my male main character I chose to develop using something that's incredibly popular in fiction right now, and that is the cinnamon roll MMC,
Mm.
which you
What
can
explain
that
that to us?
it is, but it's basically the general idea of a man who's very independent. They're kind of the Sigma males. They're not
Mhm.
alphas, but they're
Mhm.
not pushovers either. They're the manly man that every woman really wants, that they're protective of family. They're the one that's willing to be, like the white knight in this case, but it's not the first thing that they go to. Like they're not like the hero looking for the recognition of that. They're just, that's naturally who they are. It's innate
Right.
to their character.
Right.
Um, so Isha's like that, but Isha's also an Indian American, as in his parents are in India immigrants,
Mhm.
and he's a first generation American, and he's also very Americanized in the fact that his family wanted him to become like a doctor and things like that, and he decides to go, work for like the mountain department, and like he's way out in the rugged woods, and a place that is predominantly, Caucasian people. That's where it's not a lot of different races of people,
Mhm.
but they're trying to open that. And he's one of the people, like, he really loves the outdoors and he wants to be out there and he's not afraid of mountain lions, things like that. So I developed this character where I really wanted him to be very faceted, and I wanted him to represent all of these things and be very, different than the usually seen character tropes that are found in this type of story.
Mhm.
So I did that. And then the female main character is actually biracial Japanese American. And she kind of has a similar traditionalist family in her own aspect, so this is something that they both have in common, but yet it's in a different way.
Right.
So there's a lot of representation. And I wanted that to be a big theme in this. And if some of my readers have been really happy about that, because it's very different. It's unique. And I took ideas from like things like Virgin River and Hallmark, very warm and cozy kind of romance. But then I
Mhm.
kind of wanted to do something a little different and up the
Okay.
ante a little bit.
Okay.
So my story, if you looked at a flame rating from 1 to 5, it's most of these stories are falling from 2 to 4. Mine's probably one of the higher ones at a 4 level.
Okay.
It's very romantic, but there's a lot of chemistry, and I feel like it's done in good taste. So I took all of those really sweet um, elements of a nice, sweet romance story, and then I took some of the ones that borrowed from the more passionate, romantic erotics, but didn't fall classified into that. And
Okay.
it was very important to me that I did that so that it could be done with finesse, if you will.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I have a friend of mine. I won't, well, people might know who I'm talking about, but I'll just say G. I'll call her G. She is a very good romance writer. And I'm like, she just was playing around and has this story. And I was like, you need to like be publishing books because this is this is your gift. And she was like, "Oh, and she's always afraid to finish it." And I'm like, "No, I'm waiting for her to finish this thing for 3 years now."
Oh, wow.
But
Yeah,
it's that good.
it
It's
can.
every character, everything in it. And
My longest book took me 10 years to complete, so
did it really?
I
Was
I
it
I know that it happens sometimes, and people ask, they're like these last few novellas that I've done, and like I said, I've got this one here now with this
okay?
collection, but there's going
Okay.
to be 2 more that I'll be involved in, and I can't really talk about them a lot, but I can tell a little bit.
Right.
Um, but anyway, that I wrote 4 novellas in the last, 3 months to be in this.
Okay.
So, I mean, they came and they were like, "Oh, okay, here's the idea and let's just go with it." And the flow was there and I was like, "Okay, I'm going with the flow." And I have told people I describe that when that happens to me as the writer's waterfall because it comes like Niagara
Right.
and it's just like whoosh, and then it dries up. And sometimes it's just like, "Man, I am only getting a trickle out of this stream right now." I am trying so hard, and this story's like and it will have been really good up until whatever point I meant that,
Right.
where the water went out.
Yep.
Um, but I feel like these anthologies have, definitely opened up something, like, I just came up with some really good ideas, and I'm very excited about what's coming up next. Um, and I'm really excited about Frosted Dreams, especially for AL because it's just nice to work with someone and then, finally be able to get them the credit that they deserve. And, you know,
Yes.
it's part of what I feel like is my mission in life is I've been trying to break through all these barriers for myself. And it's kind of ironic because a friend of mine, um, told me that there's this Latin phrase that covers me. I can't think of the exact Latin words right now, but basically the gist of it is, I will either find a way or make one. And
Mm.
I was like, "Well, I wasn't just doing that for me. It's not just
No.
about me making it through. It's paving a way and bringing other people that have the same ambition and dreams through that gate, and because those gates don't need to be there anyway."
Yes. Well, you have an amazing backstory too. So that's the part that people don't understand, that you can really do anything you want if you put your mind to it, and it's your calling. Nothing can stop you.
Yeah.
So you
And
know.
I mean, I've come to the last few weeks, especially since the writer's strike ended,
Yes.
I've had a few other opportunities that have come before me. Nothing has completely played out yet, and I don't wanna, like, toot my horn before it's time, so I'm
Right.
still kinda just holding back a reservation, but I've spoken to, 2 other producers about one of my screenplays, and they loved it. I have spoken to another production company that is interested in looking at some of my books for film acquisition rights,
Good.
and so it's all of these things, and I'm sitting here still praying to the creator above that. And I
Right.
mean, like I said, I feel like I'm at a stage right now, honestly, Tanya, where I'm standing at the gate right here. I'm right
Yes.
here, and I
Very good.
know that I just need a few people to say yes,
Yes.
and it's gonna happen, and then once that happens for me, I have every intention of continuing to write tons and tons of content as much as they'll allow me to. And I have great stories, and I have 14 years worth of concepts behind me already. So it's
Yes.
not like there's not a storehouse there.
Right.
Um, and I'm obviously constantly coming up with new, but I also want to help other people
Mm.
make it in, like
Is that why you started your business?
well, I mean, I still got Infinity Creations, and I'm gonna continue to hold that where I'm going at right now. I'm happy with the way that things have progressed,
Mm.
and I don't intend on abandoning it. I just don't know exactly how it's going to evolve in the future.
Okay.
I do know that some of the ideas that I have are, I would like to become a bigger production studio if possible one day. So,
Mhm.
yeah.
Yes, that I found that's the power. Really, producing your own thing is really the power, because you can write all day, but if people keep slamming the doors, or if they only open them to certain people, then it never
Until
works for
you
me.
make your own money, and that's
Yeah.
basically the hard part about it
Yeah.
is, I mean, I know that I have hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of really great content, and I
Right.
lots of people can look at it and be like, "This is an amazing story," but without those investors willing to back it, And
Yes.
ultimately, I mean, a lot of times we've seen this repeatedly, how many doors got slammed on so many greats before somebody finally said, "Wait a minute." And that was the person that made billions of dollars because they were the person that said, "Wait a minute," which proves that
Yes.
most of those investors haven't got an idea what is actually going to
Actually.
sell.
Mhm.
And we've seen that consistently in Hollywood. I mean, people are constantly complaining about Hollywood not having original ideas. There are thousands of
Now they
authors
got AI.
stories. Like there is a plethora of content out here. It's out there. You're not allowing it in, or you're being very
Specific. And
specific, and it's exclusive. It's
right.
excluding
It is
people.
very, I was going to say it's very exclusive. And if you know the history of Hollywood, and this is just brief, because it will play back around to what I'm saying. People, women used to run Hollywood at one point, and then they had the war. That's how they got in, I believe, is because of the war. I was reading a story about this, and I forgot the French lady's name. Gil, I can't remember her name, but just look it up. The first woman, she did silent films, and she did such a great return that the Wall Street guys were like, when the guys came back from the war, they basically was like, okay, we don't need women, because before you were secretaries. That's what you can do in film. That's
Right.
all you can do. And then the war happened. They were like, oh my God, somebody's got to take over, because what are we gonna do? Like, and then so the women took over, and they were killing it. They were making it like amazing.
Yeah.
And so, but before that point, the guys on Wall Street, who were those big investors, said, okay, you can make films, but we'll sponsor you. Like, we'll pay whatever you want. Just, we can't have no women writers, no women leads, and no women. They can be secretaries. That's about it. That's why if you go back and look at all the old movies, except for when that what's her name? I got to get her name because now it's going to drive me insane. Before we leave, I'll get her name. I forgot her name. French lady. She did the first silent film, and it was very popular. And I forgot her name. It keeps coming up, but I know it was a woman. So you can go check it out, viewers, yourself. Just put in the first woman who ran Hollywood back in the, I don't know if that's the 30s, 20s. I'm not sure what years. I don't have everything in front of me, but it's a fact. And so what happened? The way it got shady was because these investors said, well, these women are doing a little too good. And the men didn't have no jobs now when they came back from the war. So they were like, how are we going to get these men back their jobs? And how are we going to do this? They're making money. Let's just strong arm them. Okay, we'll sponsor you. We'll pay anything you want. You can have Paramount. You can have whatever you want. But the condition is no women, and they can't write. We don't want them as leads. And why do you think, like, you Grant, is that his name? All the old actors were what? Men. John Wayne and such and such and such as back in the day. You had a couple like Betty Davises and Melanie Dietrich, whatever. Yeah, you had people, but I'm saying look at most of the stars were about men.
The
And it was
main
all
leads, yeah.
yes, and there was no women directing, doing anything on set. That was a wrap. She was like a secretary or assistant. And
There
that
were some women, I believe, that actually used male pseudonyms when they were screenplay writers because of
yes.
this.
Yes, there was some, but I'm saying to you now, how it applies now is that, believe it or not, the same people are still running, running by paying for and sponsoring, and so their new thing is, because we're very strong as a group of people, all of us, right? If everybody gets together, it's like, what are we gonna do now? Nobody's gonna go watch your movies if we know that you're doing this to us, right? So
Right.
now what they do is they say, well, you need to hire more minorities and you need to hire more of this. So they did, but they tricked us. So instead of a minority, I can be not only Black or Chinese or gay or blah, 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 blah. I can go on forever. I can be all those, but not the ones they really was supposed to be putting in there. So that's the trickery of it. And so a woman, yeah, she can do it if she's this way. Like there's all these little stupid rules. So if you make your own table, you're going to eat. Because I believe you always have an audience. You just have to find it. Now that is the hard part, but why not go back to the Wild Wild West days? I have no problem with saying, you know what, I only got 10 viewers today. It is what it is. I'm doing what I love, and the 10 people are getting something out of it. That's all I care about. You know what I'm saying? Somebody left inspired. I don't care about the fame part. That's nothing. That's not That's not a condition of why I do what I do. And you don't write, I can tell because we've gotten to know each other. You don't write because I'm going to be famous and I'm going to, that's just a sidebar. If it happens, great. You know what I'm saying? Good. I can reach more people. Right. But
Right.
you write because it's in your bones. That's what you have to do, because
I,
that's
I
how you touch people.
and that's what I feel like I was born to do. And so like I'm happy with my life the way it is now.
Right.
I mean, there are a few things that I would change, of course.
Of
But
course we do.
I mean, for the most part, I'm happy with my life the way it is and being able to use my talent to pay my bills and, keep me and my children fed and a roof over our heads. And that's success to me. Now, if one of my stories gets sold and it does become a movie, that's my ultimate dream and I would love that, but it's not because I want to be this flashy star on a red carpet. I mean, I'm more likely to be the writer in the cabin in the woods that you barely see, but everybody knows I'm the one that wrote it. That's more likely to be who I am.
Right. Well, I'm glad writing is a thing because it is definitely a gift. Not everybody can do it. They think they can, but not everybody can do it. I believe when you find your calling, you stand by it, you stick by it, and you do it at all cost. That's it. Because your book, like to me, I may not be into romance novels, so she may not be in, but somebody is escaping that 5 minutes of danger they've been in or that craziness they've been in. Somebody is escaping. I've seen people totally engrossed in these books. And I used to be one of them. I used to be like, yeah, because it was like, it's great to just, I know I'm not going to go climb Mount Everest, but yeah, I can have imagination that I got stuck up there and the fine ranger found me, I mean, it could happen.
And for romance, I do a lot of romance because that's basically where I got my foot in the door. But not all of my stories are romantic. I have a lot of very different, diverse types of stories. And depending on which way you go, if you're reading my screenplays or you're reading my short stories or my books, it's all very different.
Right.
So I tell people when they ask me, well, what genre do you feel like you write in? And I'm like, I'm not a multi-genre author. And I mean, I'm not a genre author. I'm a multi-genre author. And
Okay. Right.
want to like, I
Pigeon
don't
yourself.
ever want people to think that I've pigeonholed myself into one
Right.
place because
Right.
if they do, then they're going to be surprised if the next thing I come up with, like my last book was a fantasy. This is a contemporary. Do you see what I'm saying? So like it's the diversity between what I can do and even with my style, I feel like I'm a master storyteller, honestly. Like I feel like I can hit just about any genre there is and do it well. And because I've ghost written for so many different types of people and different types of content, I know that's true. So I feel like, again, not to brag, it's master storytelling because I can enter any medium and tell you a story and I can engage the audience and make it captivating and it interesting, and I'm confident in that.
Right. Well, that's I mean, when it comes to writing, I think you should, if you're a writer, in my opinion, you should be able to touch upon any genre. And that's just my opinion. Now, I may be wrong, but I'm just thinking like if this is your gift, it could be a poem. I could write a screenplay. I could write a sitcom. I may not have the structure down, the first time I try something. Okay, that's fine. But the story will be there.
Exactly. And I can do that. I can do poetry, lyrics. I've done journalistic independent articles. I've done all kinds of things. But even like being a person who works with other ghostwriters too, a few of them have even talked to me and they're like, how do you do this? Like, I'm used to writing in third person. I don't know how to write in first person. And I'm like, if you can write in third person, you can write in first person.
Exactly.
It's very like, and somebody said, well, how? And I was like, well, here's the thing. Why don't you try this? Go ahead and write the first chapter in third person, then go back and change it and change all the words to show if it were, instead of they or the person's name, then you say I, me, and you describe it as first person.
Right.
And use first person, tenses.
Right.
And that's how you do it. And then one of my writers actually was like, it dawned on her and she goes, wow, that's so simple. Why didn't I think of that? And I was, because in your mind, you've already put this It's your mindset, really. You put this boundary of this is how I can write. I can't do that. You're a writer. Open your mind and you can. It's words,
Yes.
it's letters. You put
Yes.
the words and letters together and you craft the material.
Yes. What do you think the number one thing for a writer is? What, like, the first thing you can think of is the number one thing for someone to start writing now? What's the number one thing?
Okay, well, I mean,
Yeah.
do you mean just like getting themselves up and starting to just produce writing, or do you mean actually getting their foot in the door and publishing?
Just really just to start, because a lot of people procrastinate.
Okay, well, the number one thing to do is to decide that you're going to commit to, even if it's word counts. And the way that I say that goes like this. Like if it's only like I was telling the other ghostwriter, why don't you do this? Do the first few paragraphs like this. Same thing. If all you can do is 500 words, commit to that 500 words for 5 days and 1 week. Write 500 words every single day of that week. Just 500 words.
Okay.
Even if it takes you the whole day to do it. If you can only write one sentence starting at 6 a.m. and you can't get back till noon, but then you can write another whole paragraph, your word count for that day is 500 words. Make that word count. The next week, double it. So on and so forth until you're finally doing the Stephen King method, which is 2,000 words a day, 5 days a week. And then within 5 days, you have 10,000 words. In 4 weeks, you have 40,000 words.
Wait, so 40,000 words, wait, 10,000 words, how many pages is that?
That's about a 200 or 300 page book.
Oh, really? That much? Oh, see, I calculated
40,000 words is actually a good chunk. Even like there are 10 stories in here, and each one of the stories is 10 to 15,000 words. And look at how long it is. I mean, the actual page count number is
that looks like a 300 pager.
This one is a little over 400.
I was gonna say maybe more. Yeah. Wow. I not only remember that because when I read Hannibal Lecter, it was that thick, and I was like, oh, I want to say it was like something like 300 or 400 pounds. I don't know, something a bit thick. It was huge. And at first I was like, no way I'm going to read a book like this. I was done in 3 days.
Yeah.
That's how good it was. Whoever wrote that, my God, it was great. Okay. So, because, there's always somebody watching who wants to write, but not sure. And I think it was Shonda Rhimes who said, well, if you're a writer, you just write, or something to that effect, she said. And I was like, wow, that's so true. Just do it. Like, this is a field that you don't even have to have a credential in. It's really the story you're telling or whatever you're writing that's going to be important.
Once you have learned the ability to read and to write, even in elementary school, we can see kids better authoring books. I mean, I did it when I was in kindergarten. My first authored book, I wrote the illustrations and everything. It was called My Family. And I was 5 years old, and I was like, I just took construction paper and I took a stapler. I stapled the side.
I used to tape. I used to tape there, just bind them.
And I bound it all up, and I made my pictures, and then I wrote the story in it. And for the longest time, my dad had it, and that was my first actual authored story. I mean, self-published, I guess.
That's great. That is really great. I mean, when you're a writer, because same thing. I used to tape the cut out, or if I didn't have scissors, I rip out, 12 pages or 50, however long I wanted my story, and then I was like, all right, what am I going to talk about? What's the theme here? And then I just go and I take the tape and bind it until it all sticks so it looks like a book, the end of a book. It's crazy. The things we do, I tell you. But my first one was something with flowers, flower in the box or something. I forgot the name of it, but I still have it. Actually, I still have the story. And I'm actually going to make it into a kid's book. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's one of those things that you really don't have to have any kind of formal education other than the base grammar education of learning to read and write, and then it's application. It's with anything you do, it's application. Once you have learned the skill set, don't ask yourself, can I write? Right. Can you write? Logically, you already know the answer. Yes, you can. So now the question shouldn't be, can I write? It's, do I want to invest the time? And then kicking your own butt into gear and doing it.
Right.
That's the hardest thing for most of us on anything.
Yes. Did you ever read The Artist's Way?
No, I have not. Sounds
That book is what got me to consistently writing. I mean, I started stand-up comedy like years ago. So that makes you write 10 jokes a day, at least 20, whatever, however many. So that's one thing, but that didn't do it for me. The Artist Way, this book was like every morning you should get up and you should do, I think it was a page, and just write about anything, just anything. It could be like, I'm looking at the walls and they're green and this is blue and it could be anything. Because what happens is once you get that out, when you really go to write, now you're going to write the real stuff.
right.
Because you got all the brain scatters out of the way. But there's so many things in that book, The Artist Way, and Nzinga, I forgot her name, so forgive me, guys, but just look it up, The Artist Way. Very good book. It has inspired me till this day. I try to live by it. There are days where I may go 2 days and I was like, you didn't write. Oh my God. Like, I mean, I wrote, but not write on my content, what I'm supposed to be writing.
I apologize. The train is going by, and
That's okay.
not much I can do about that.
That's okay.
But that's another thing, though. If you can't, like I said, do the 500 words a day for 5 days. Yeah, commit to that challenge and do that. But don't do it like if you know that this is the week you're having surgery.
Right.
Don't do that. If this is the week that you're really feeling like you're just depressed or you're just not at your energetic high, don't commit to it at that point. Commit to it when you are in a space like, we're just coming out of a holiday, and right now, people have had like 4 days where they didn't have anything to do, and it should be a calm time after the initial feasting, right? That's a good time to commit to something like that. And then, maybe you can only do it for 3 days. And you're like, you know what? But I did my 500 words for 3 days. Now I can't do anything for 2 or 3 days. But when you come back, you make up for what you didn't do. And you keep adding on. It's all about continuing the practice of consistency, even if you do have to take breaks. And you do need to take breaks. If you just burn yourself out writing constantly all the time, you are bound to meet those dry spells. Like, that's because you can't pour from an empty cup on anything.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. So also on a different topic, the writer's strike is over, and the acting part, I believe, is over as well. Any new developments in the publishing world based on that? I know about AI, they said something. So,
I haven't heard or seen anything really big differently with AI, other than the fact that I know that ChatGPT just ousted their CEO. Which,
why? What happened?
But as far as like the how it's correlating to the publishing industry, I haven't really seen any real major differences, except for I will say that I know that Shadow and Bone and just got axed by Netflix, which is a really, really, really big mistake. And the author had commented about that, and that had been a thing that had been talked about in the publishing industry. And some people are speculating that the reason why Netflix did that is because now the strike is over and they're going to be looking at greenlighting a bunch of new projects. I don't know if that's actually true. That's just a rumor in the industry. So some people think that, and Netflix actually axed 5 series in the last week.
Oh, really?
Yes.
See, I don't watch anything unless it's gonna feed my brain anymore. So that's why I gotta go. I'll read up on that because I need to know stuff like that. For who's that? I need to know what's going on. Oh,
it was a really popular series, and I mean, it was I don't know why they chose to do that, but I do know that the author, she discussed it a little bit in the public light about how most of us don't get to see our content even go that far, to be able to say that, she saw her story come alive and that it was done justice. She actually said she had no complaints about the screenplay writing or the acting. It was one of the instances that is rare where an author can say it was all of my vision and more, everything I could have ever hoped for. And it was about to, have its 3rd season, and they just cut it off. And it's really sad because it is an awesome story. Other than that, I haven't seen anything else related to the crossover between publishing and screenplay that might have something to do with the strike.
I was thinking the AI because I've seen a lot of books that I know were written by AI.
Oh,
don't know.
well, that's been an
Well,
ongoing thing since well before. I mean,
okay.
the AI thing has been an issue. And of course, Amazon did make a lot of places are doing this too, where you have to disclose if you use AI content.
Yeah,
But
they
that's
should, because I've
been
seen it, and
well.
yeah, yeah, it's not fair, because what happens is it's so. Oh, I won't say that, but it's kind of like it's the cheat, and it's okay if you tell us, then that's fine. But because what happens is society will get used to these AI books, right? And then when I go to write something, it because it's not in that formatted robotic mind, now I'm wrong, and my creativity gets shut out. You
Well,
see?
it definitely like there are things that I can see that people are using AI for to build their businesses, and I don't
Yes.
agree with it.
Mhm.
Um, but it can't be copyrighted, and that's one of the biggest things that people need to understand. So if you go
Oh,
and you use an AI writing tool,
yep.
it's already been in a law in a court of law. It's already been decided that you will not be able to claim copyright on anything that you used AI to create.
Oh, see, that's what I'm wondering. That's the part.
So,
So
like, they
that's
can
fine.
go out there and they can do this and they can get paid for the downloads that they're getting, but anybody can plagiarize their content.
Okay.
Anybody can steal it and do the same thing,
Okay. Okay.
or take it and put it through another AI and just regurgitate the content. And that's where the problem comes in.
I
What you were
agree.
just talking about is these are going to be people that are continually regurgitating content. And okay, so let's be real. There's 12 archetypes of storytelling. There is no story that hasn't already been told. Even the greatest directors and producers and writers have already said this. It's
Mhm.
all about your ability to take the tropes or archetypes and respin them in your own unique way and add in your own elements and take things and move them around and do your own wizardry. But the elements for the ingredients are the same. All of the elements needed to make this cake, they're the same.
Mm.
How are you going to make the cake different is based on your own utilization of those things. So
Okay.
when we're talking about literary devices and things like that,
Mhm.
how you use those and how you put them into play based on your writing ability and your own experience and your worldview is going to be what produces your content. And that's
Right.
what's going to create your voice and become who you are as the author.
Right.
That cannot be emulated by a robot or a computer.
Mhm.
They are meant to be programmed and they cannot be receptive to how coping situations are going to be in the midst of something. And so, see, with being humans, we can say we're going to react one way if something's hypothetical, but until it
Mhm.
actually happens, we don't really know how
No.
we would truly react.
No.
And so once we've been through something and we've seen how we reacted and how we learned from it and the experience has taught us, then as writers we can take from that. And they say to write about what you know, right?
Right. Right.
So that's what you do. And you take from that, and that experience helps shape your story. A computer can't do that because they don't have experiences like we do.
No. And they have no feelings, so that's another problem.
Yeah.
That's what I see wrong with their content. I can tell. I'm like, this was written by a robot. I can tell. Some of the even even some ads, some things that go on, especially when those drawings first started coming out. I said, "What is that? People look weird. They just look weird." And now I find out they're not no artists. They got an AI to draw it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AI apps, if you want to use them for your own entertainment, which I have done, I've taken some of my pictures and thrown them into them to see what they look like. That's one thing,
That's
it's
different.
kind of
Yeah,
like doing the filters fun and everything.
yeah,
But
yeah. That's a little different.
there's
It's not
like
creatively.
trying to go and use them to sell content when we know, first of all, you can't copyright it, and secondarily, they didn't get authorial permission to start replicating the different types of styles that they're doing. And
Mm,
so they really are stealing content from other people that are already out there who deserve to be paid for that. And if they wanted to replicate their content, it's
mm,
one thing to want to do that, but you
right.
need to go to those people and you need to ask for acquisition rights and you need to pay them and get their permission to do it.
Right, exactly. That's where the big hard part is coming in, getting them to pay for stuff. And there was another thing on that contract that I saw, that was interesting. But that's pretty much in summary. That's it. I don't like the concept of AI. It is helpful. I see some people who have businesses and they've shown me how they use it. And I said, okay, all right. I mean, if that's going to save you 50 grand, why not? Right. But for artists, for me, in my opinion, if you're using it for writing, for screenplays, for movies, or for film, in the creative context, I don't think it's appropriate.
No, and I mean, if you test them out and you can test out different ones, you can, like, I've taken some of my content and plugged it in just to see what it would say about it.
Right.
And then it will come back and it will say something, and I would be like, okay, what do you think should happen next in this story? And I'll just see what it will tell me.
Right.
And I already know what I've already got outlined and developed what I'm doing anyway, but I want to see what it says. And then it will come back with the most ridiculous. And I'd be like, I would never write something so, and I don't want to sound rude, but like stupid. Like it just sounds so ridiculously stupid. Like,
right. No, I totally get it. Yeah, I'm this. Well, also I'm very big about people having organic jobs with benefits, and if that's what they want, using your gifts to earn. So I'm very big. Like I'd like to go back to the Wild Wild West days, the old, punch and buggy days. It's like, oh, let's barter, let's trade. Okay. I can go sell my pies on the street.
We might not be far from them with the way the world is going lately.
Well, I'm all for it. I say let's go for it. Like, you entertain on the street. They got the Speakers Park in London over there. There's little things that I really like that. I like the organic creativity, whatever that is. It could be whether you cook pies or have a store or whatever. It could be writing a book. I just like that. I like that. And I think we're running so far away from it with our phones and with our social media that because even someone say, well, if you do your show, you got to have a social media. Cause I was like, I think I'm going to close all my social media. She's like, well, what are you going to do? Nobody's going to leverage you. And I said, well, that's true. Nobody won't, but I don't care because I'll still be able to do it. I just have to figure out how do I tap into my audience. Right. And it's weird. It will be weird at first because I think what we have is our egos, maybe, right? That's any human being. If I had a dinner party for 10 and no one showed up, my feelings would be hurt, right?
Right.
So you can see it that way. Okay. We're all human, which is why we're all on doing selfies and stuff. So me guilty as charged. If we say, oh, that's so stupid, but I'm like, let me take this selfie. Let me see what it looks like, right?
You want to feel good about yourself. Everyone does.
We're human. But I don't want to be relying on all these things. I want to just be able to go sit in the log cabin and write with a paper and pen and then go put it in the computer. I don't want to have to put it only on the computer. I don't like that. I never liked it. And I'm still not a fan. I like to buy my composition notebooks and then write my stories and then go put them in. Someone thinks I'm crazy, but I'm like, no, you don't understand. That's my process.
That's your process. Exactly. And no two writers have the same process. That's another thing. And people ask that all the time. What's your process? And I'm like, well, it's kind of hard sometimes to describe your process to someone else.
Right.
Because like to them, they're like, this is madness. But to you, it's organized chaos. And you're like, you get it. And you understand that this is what works for you to be able to produce. And it may not work for someone else at all.
No, because the way I do it would definitely be wasting a lot of time. But that's to everybody else. For me, it's everything because that's how I develop my characters, either on a long hour or 2 hour walk, or when I'm literally with an empty book and say, okay, so this was sorry. And well, who is she? Well, what was she doing this? And what's the plot? And what's the thing? Like I sit and that's my process, but I need to write it out because I need to hear it. And then I say, that makes sense. Okay, now I can put it in the computer. So it's a lot of time, but I like it because that's my editing method in a way.
Yeah.
And
that's in your developing phase.
Yeah, because you can come up with, I wrote a book in 2 hours for kids. You know what I'm saying? In 2 hours, but that's because I was walking for 2 hours and I had, I was just ready. Everything was there. Boom, boom, boom. I went and knocked it out. But I like to write first because that's just me. Most people will never do that. They'll be like, that is a waste. You just killed like 3 hours. And I'm like, that's true. But I need the 3 hours because that's my internal editing system for the next whatever phase I got to do of the book.
But it's waste of time if it helps you with the production in the end either. So like there was something that I learned in school, and it was talking about refilling your creative pot. And basically it the gist of it was, maybe you do need to go for a walk for 3 hours in order to be able to get more inspiration brought into yourself, or to recenter, or to meditate, whatever it is that you have to do in order to get your creative energy at the place where you're zen enough to produce.
Exactly.
It's something that you have to find the time to do. And if other people say, oh, that's a waste of time, that's proof positive of everybody's process is different, because it's not a waste of time. It is
Right.
actually you investing your time into doing exactly what I said in the beginning, which is finding the time to do the writing, to just do the writing. It's never wasted time as long as you're doing that. It might
Right.
take you longer, but it's still not wasted time.
No, I don't think it's a waste. And I'm standing by my guns because that's just my process. Everybody's different. I commend people that can just get on the computer and be like, da 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 da. And I was like, but don't you need to like look at something to see what it looks like before you? That's just, I'm a visual learner. Maybe that's why, I don't know. But I need that. And when I teach young people about writing for whatever it is, whether it's poetry, whatever it is, I also tell them, don't go by what everybody else is doing, because that'll jack you up.
I have a author friend who does a lot of author tips on TikTok. She actually has it's called Just the Tip, author tips for authors. And she gives lots of different ones. And she recently recommended a book called, I believe it is Writer, You Need to Quit. And she said, now the title, of course, is a little off-putting at first because it's Writer, You Need to Quit. But she goes, but if you go and you read it, it's actually a book that's talking about all these things that you need to quit doing to yourself that end up putting those kind of mental caps on you. Like, I can't do this, or I can't do that, or I need to be doing this, or I need to be doing what so-and-so is doing because that's how I'm going to be the next, Stephen King.
Right.
I'm going to tell you this straight up. No two authors. You get 10 authors in a room. None of them are going to have the same story to publication. Nope. All of them are going to have their own journey, and it's all going to be different, and it's all going to be based on their experience and what they went through and how they got through the hard work of the craft and then got to where they are today. And everybody's journey through that is unique.
Yes. And that's what makes it all so juicy and great, because you don't know what you're getting. You don't know. I pick up a book from you and it's like, oh, somebody else, so you don't know. That's the beauty of it. And that's the beauty of books to me, or any writing, is that when they pick it up, you don't know.
Different effects. Different effect.
So the book is out now.
It actually, you can get this paperback now, but the official release for the ebook is actually December the 4th.
December 4th. Okay.
Yes.
And where can they get it?
They can get it on Amazon, and I think it will be in Kindle Unlimited. It's on pre-order right now. Okay.
Let me see. Let me see if I have something here. Or where to find you. The summary. This the anthology. Which one was this? My DW anthology. Was that
that's the darkness one.
That's the darkness one. Yeah, I was looking for your other. Well, these are all your handles. Yeah, I don't have that one.
It should be for Snowden, it should be mybook.2/snowed.
Two is in TWO or number?
Yes.
TWO?
TO. I don't know if I can put it in the chat box, maybe.
Oh, okay. I was just see. Okay.
Might be able to put it in the chat box here.
Yeah. There we go. I see it. Let me see. All right, guys, I'm going to put it up here for you. Give me a second. Copy link. I don't know if I did that right. Let's see. Comments. Put it in the comment chat. Okay, guys. Yeah. So there we go. The book will be out December 4th. That is exciting. And what? So how do they do like a book signing for that? How do you do that when there's many authors?
Well, I mean, we're having we're having a blog tour right now, a Blitz blog tour, and basically all of the authors are posting different content on their socials, but then we're going to be having on December the 5th in my reader group, which is Sirens of Simery on Facebook. We're having a release party, and there will be 15 different authors in attendance. And basically what will be happening is from noon Central Time to 7 p.m. Central Time. For I think it's 30-minute slots. Each person will come on for 30 minutes and they will share different works and giveaways and, just do interactive author games. And we're kind of doing that. We're not doing any sit down book signings though together or anything like that.
Okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure how that works when it's many authors, because that would be time consuming and it would be that could be costly.
We're doing, instead of being able to do that, we're doing the book launch party, and then we're also doing a giveaway bash, which takes place in another one of the authors groups, Shelley Rose Warren Reading Royalty on Facebook, I believe it is.
Okay.
And in that one, it's only going to be the main authors that are in the anthology. There will be 10 of us, and each of us will have a giveaway because that's a giveaway bash. So that we're going to be doing that, and there will be lots of free books and things like that, and of course the ability to interact with the authors as they're there during their takeovers.
And that's December 5th?
December 5th and December the 8th. And you can find out all about those events by going on my Facebook or my Instagram. I have posts about them up.
Okay, so we'll go to that. Good. All right, so that's good. How has the writing world been since everything's back from the pandemic? I know it's been a while, but has there been any slowdowns or anything, or things have picked up?
I feel like I've been going steady since the pandemic. I went, completely all eggs in, if you will, whenever I decided to start doing Infinity and taking on ghostwriting clients and expanding that. And that was how that I was able to continue to make it through the pandemic, and it has only continued to expand and flourish. And I mean, I feel like I've actually done better since the pandemic hit than I ever did before it happened. I think that probably has a lot to do with the fact that people were quarantined, and now even though we are back in action where we can have social events and stuff, I feel like the dating scene even plays it in on that, as a lot of people stay home now. I mean, they've just naturally been more inclined to just staying home now.
It's easier.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's way easier and not have to worry about, anything,
There's just so much chaos in the world, and there's just so much.
That too. Oh, forget about that.
Watching your shows on your streaming and reading your books. And I mean, even being able to just order DoorDash, a lot of people would prefer to do that. And I think that that's definitely made the book industry boom more in my experience.
Yeah, no, I would think so, because a lot of people are still I'm surprised they didn't drop at needing more content, especially in film. So Netflix and all those people, they actually need people, good writers and good stories, because you just can't get enough. Because some people are decided, I'm just going to stay home when I can, and I don't need all the other stuff. Who watches cable TV anymore?
Most people have streaming. They have, a Roku or something, or they just watch something on their YouTube Premium or whatever.
Yeah, I don't have any cable. I have a TV, but I don't ever turn it on because it doesn't have cable, so it's pointless. I can watch YouTube or something, but it's all pointless to me. I'd rather be writing. And if it's something that important, then I might go to my friend's Netflix account or something like that.
Find something. If it's piqued your attention enough, you'll find a way to watch it. But otherwise,
if it's somebody I support, I'm going all out. Yeah, I'm going to do
it.
But
I feel that way too. Like there's movies that I'll go to the movies to see, but then otherwise, I don't need to be at the movies all the time.
No. Especially now. When I went to the last movie I went to, it was so dead in there. I don't even know. It's seated at least, it looked like 500, and I can count. There was maybe like 25 people.
Yeah, they're definitely.
I was like, yo, what's going on? So now I felt weird being in there. I was like, why didn't anybody else come?
Right.
But then I said, I'm not having any fear anymore either. I'm just going, do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And
Enjoy your life.
Yeah, let the chips fall where they may, because there are people out here who that's their gift, and so we got to support them when we can. If they're good gift, if they're good doing good, why not? I'll support them. So.
Right.
And so what else is going on? So your book. So the group is on the 5th and the 8th. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. Yeah. Have you seen do you interact a lot with your fans?
I'm always active in my reader group. I mean, there's things posted in there all the time. And I try, I can tell you who my #1 fan in the world is. I know her name, and she's in Scotland. And
Nikki, you should give her a shout out. First name.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Nikki, hi.
Hi, Nikki.
And she's been reading me ever since my first books got published on the market, and has just stayed with me, and she interacts with me all the time. And anybody else, I try to stay open to people I am particular about who accesses me in some ways, but for the most part, if you come in my reader group, as long as you're not acting like a troll and you're being normal, cool person, yeah, I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you about writing. I'll talk to you about my books, or I'll talk to you about music, whatever you want.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's important to interact when you can. Not that can't always happen, but when you can, I think it's important to interact with fans. Those are your handles, which look like they might be bunched up together, are they? But in other words, you'll be able to see she's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram.
It's Cy Marie or Cy Marie Johnson everywhere. I mean, if you Google it, you'll find me. I'm sure of it.
Right. Yeah, no. So you guys know, and you guys know you can always inbox me anytime you can't remember whatever was said, or if it's not in the chat. I'm always here to, pass Arthur's information or any guest information on. But thank you so much. Any last requests as I tell people before they leave? Any word for our viewers or a writer that can inspire them or make them want to go get the book?
I mean, I tell everybody that my personal quote is, I'm just a woman with a dream and a pen. And that was where I started, and here I am now. So and I mean, also 90% deaf woman.
Right. You said that. That's right.
And the reality is writing can open the door for anyone who decides to apply themselves to using it.
Wow. That is great. So, so for my viewers, thank you so much for taking time to watch. And I hope you heard that part, that if that's what you want to do it like Nike. Because at our show side, we pretty much, I only do it because I figure like somebody is out there who needs to be inspired, doesn't want to watch television, doesn't want to put into those other kind of medium sources. I just don't do it. So we hope that we inspire somebody. That's always our goal. And that they get, that you go get your book as well. Snowed In, it's looking juicy. I've been reading a little bit of it. It's looking very juicy. If you're one of those, it's snuggle up weather with the hot chocolate by the fireplace weather.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's on. Yeah. So thank you. And let us know if you have anything else coming out. We'd be happy to support you. We love you, and we think you're fabulous. And your viewers.
Thank you so much for having me. And I might come back around April of next year, because that's when I should be having another book out.
Oh, that's when it comes? Okay, so good. So we're going to be here. We're not going anywhere. So guys, let me see who's up here in the chat. I just want to say thank you to you all. Joe, and I see you. I can't see you guys on YouTube. I'm sorry, but I want to thank you, Size viewers. I know some of you are Size. I appreciate you for taking the time to watch. I hope you'll share the video. Cicely, that's yours. Cicely, yes, I saw that. A comment about Bone, Shadow and Bone. Who else? And Grandma Norma, thank you. I see you always supportive. I love people. And Susan Chadwick, thank you. I appreciate you. And I can't see there's a couple of things Twitch I can't see either, so I apologize. But we appreciate you.
Yes.
And more importantly, go get the book. Snowed In, Cy Marie Johnson, and others. Well, if I go to get Snowed In, it says everybody's name on there. There it is. Thank you. There you go, guys. See, that's what the book looks like.
It says various authors on here, but
okay.
If you just type in Snowed In, a Hydra Productions online holiday collection, it will come up. The first author on the collection is Lucy Ravens.
Okay, so that's it. Okay, Good. So you guys make sure you, if you can, get the book. Can they download it too as a, what do you call it?
It will be available on ebook on December the 4th. So next
Okay.
Tuesday. Not this
Okay.
one coming up, but next week, Tuesday.
Okay, awesome. That's awesome. So you guys go get it. And because it's holiday time, buy it for a gift for somebody who that loves to read and likes those romance stories. Because I'm sure they're gonna enjoy this one.
Yeah,
All right?
especially if they like holiday cozy Hallmark type stories with maybe a little bit of a notch on the heat.
Exactly. So thank you very much. I appreciate you. And hang out for a minute while I say goodbye to everybody. Bye, guys. We will definitely see you next week. And I appreciate you all for who's been really riding with us. And we'll see you next week. Bye.